Jefferson Beauregard Sessions III has made a few things crystal clear. He does not like marijuana. He does not like people who smoke marijuana. Heck, he's even suspicious of all those pots he's got in the kitchen.
We're going to see more marijuana use, and it's not going to be good. We're going to see more other drug use, illegal drug use also, which is damaging. I mean, we need grown-ups in charge in Washington to say marijuana is not the kind of thing that ought to be legalized. It ought not to be minimized, that it's in fact a very real danger. The creating of knowledge that this drug is dangerous, you cannot play with it, it's not funny, it's not something to laugh about, and trying to send that message with clarity that good people don't smoke marijuana.
It is not funny. Jeff Sessions has been militantly, almost obsessively anti-marijuana since his early days as a politician. Back in the 1980s, he famously joked that he thought the Ku Klux Klan was, quote, okay, until I found out they smoked pot. So there's that. Unsurprisingly, now that Jeff Sessions is the top law enforcement official in the United States, now that he's the Attorney General, he's gotten to work fast on cracking down on not only the illegal use of marijuana, but also on the legal use of it, too. He's reinstated harsh mandatory minimum sentences for drug offenders, re-upped federal contracts with private prisons to put those convicted of drug crimes in, and asked Congress to even go after medical marijuana suppliers. Jeff Sessions is to marijuana like Frankenstein's monster is to fire. As far as he's concerned, marijuana is a raging epidemic that's destroying America. How did he put it again?
We're going to see more marijuana use, and it's not going to be good.
It is not going to be good. Jeff Sessions' unwavering and, by the way, unpopular opposition to legalizing marijuana during his career in the U.S. Senate is one of a whole litany of controversial bullet points on his resume. But the Senate is a famously collegial club. And when it came time for the Senate to vote for Jeff Sessions to be the Attorney General, it really was an open question as to whether some of his colleagues in the Senate would have the guts to speak out against him. And then Senator Cory Booker did this.
If confirmed, Senator Sessions will be required to pursue justice for women, but his record indicates that he won't. He will be expected to defend the equal rights of gay and lesbian and transgender Americans, but his record indicates that he won't. He will be expected to defend voting rights, but his record indicates that he won't. He will be expected to defend the rights of immigrants and affirm their human dignity, but the record indicates that he won't. America needs an Attorney General who is resolute and determined to bend the arc. Senator Sessions' record does not speak to that desire, intention, or will.
Senator Cory Booker testifying against Jeff Sessions at his confirmation hearing, saying in no uncertain terms that he was not fit to be Attorney General. Cory Booker was the first sitting senator to ever testify against one of his colleagues. And now Cory Booker is back with a bill that Jeff Sessions is bound to hate. Senator Booker proposed legislation today to legalize marijuana at the federal level and to punish individual states who do not pass their own laws to make it legal. It's a shot across the bow to an administration that has ramped up the war on drugs, and specifically the war on marijuana right out of the gate. Your move, Jeff Sessions. And joining us now is Senator Cory Booker of New Jersey, who proposed this racial justice bill to, among other things, end the federal prohibition on marijuana. Senator Booker, great to have you with us. Thank you for joining.
Thank you. Oh, Joy, it's great to be on. And I just want to say to everybody who's watching right now, you have one of the best Twitter feeds in all of America. I have been a fan of your tweets, the information you put out, inspiration and the knowledge.
Well,
so thank you.
You do a good Twitter yourself, sir. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. So let's talk about this bill, because, of course, legalizing marijuana has become more and more popular if you look at the polls. But it's still wildly unpopular with people elected to Congress. Do you have substantial support for this idea of taking it off what's called, I guess, Schedule C?
Well, first of all, there's a rank hypocrisy if you look at the people here that have tried marijuana, who've smoked marijuana, and that they're the very people sitting on the barriers for other people to do so legally. But more than that, when you have a situation where the two of the last three presidents have done much more severe drugs admitted to it. What we see, unfortunately, is marijuana enforcement in this country is particularly targeted towards poor communities, particularly targeted towards minority communities. And it is clogging our jails and our prisons. It is actually reinforcing racial disparities in this country. It is a poverty trap because folks in college campuses, they're not worried. They joke and flout the law with little worry about repercussions. But you see teenagers having their lives destroyed, getting felony convictions, often in poor communities or minority communities, for doing things that people in Congress themselves have done. So this is an outrageous situation we have in our country. It is a prohibition that's causing the problems, as we saw with alcohol prohibition, the violence that caused, the criminalization that caused. It's far past time that we legalize this. And then that doesn't include the people that desperately need this for their, whether it's veterans, whether it's people with PTSD, whether it's people with things like Gervais syndromes, falling into seizures. So I'm confident that the logic of this bill, the moves that 8 states have already made, the District of Columbia, the evidence that's coming back and violent crime drops, as well as actually revenue coming into the state, even the evidence with severe problems like opioid overdoses. We're already seeing preliminary evidence showing that those rates of death are dropping in areas where there's legal access to marijuana. I'm confident that we're on the right side of history. I think this is going to be a long battle, but this, as you called it, a shot across the bow, I call it a first step on a longer pathway towards economic justice, racial justice, more public safety, and really more common sense.
Well, what do you say to those on the other side of this issue who say the reason to keep marijuana illegal, the reason not to allow it to be a legal substance, legally sold substance, is that it is sort of the first step for a lot of young people who then get into harder drugs?
Well, again, I look at the evidence, and that's just not the case. And frankly, as a guy who was a mayor, who helped to oversee a police department, my police department had far more challenges with alcohol-related violence, alcohol-related challenges than we did with marijuana. The evidence that it's a gateway drug just is not compelling. And the reality is, as I said, with the challenges of opioid addiction, there's some great medical studies that have come out that have shown that actually having the availability of marijuana actually lessens the chances you're going to have overdose deaths.
Yeah.
So again, but most folks don't understand the reality when it comes to the racial injustices that are involved in our war on drugs. There's no difference between blacks and whites, for example, for using marijuana whatsoever, but the arrest rates for African Americans is almost 4 times as high. It was one of our wonderful leaders, Brian Stevenson, said that we have a nation that treats you better if you're rich and guilty than poor and innocent. Well, in this case, again, if you are poor, if you are a minority, you are the ones that are overwhelmingly seeing the enforcement of marijuana laws, not people who are rich, not who are privileged, not people who are elected and connected. Those folks are not seeing the kind of enforcement that devastates lives. You're a kid that gets a teenager that gets a marijuana felony charge. Next thing you know, you can't get a Pell Grant, you can't get a job, can't get business licenses and more.
Yeah. We are out of time, but I got to ask you, since I have you here, you running for president in 2020?
Well, I joke often that I'm running from the president right now. The reality is look, we got a real job ahead of us down here in Washington, throughout this nation, with Donald Trump at the helm, coming after civil rights, voting rights, undermining our health care. This is a full-time job. This is my focus right now. Let's leave 3 years from now to then. Right now, my job is being New Jersey Senator.
All right, we'll ask you again in 3 years. Senator Cory Booker, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. We'll be right back.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me, or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.